Most people walk through this life trying to avoid the fire. They stay in the safe, quiet shadows, they keep their voices down, and they wait for permission to exist. But then there is the Ram. Aries, you are the first breath of spring. You are the explosion of energy that breaks the winter ice. You are the sign of the I am, the cosmic warrior who wakes up every single morning, ready to conquer a new mountain. People think they can handle you. They think they can give you helpful advice, or slow you down, or tell you how you should feel. They think you are just angry or impulsive. They don't realize that they are talking to a living, breathing volcano. If you say the wrong thing to an Aries, you aren't just starting a simple argument. You are pulling the pin on a grenade. You are trying to put a heavy lid on a sun that is trying to rise. Most people fail in their relationships with Aries because they use words that act like cold water. And if there is one thing a volcano hates more than anything else, it is being told it needs to cool off. Now let's explore the psychological minefield of the first sign of the zodiac. We are going to look at the 15 specific phrases and ideas that act as a direct personal insult to the Aries soul. We are going to explore why these words trigger an immediate war response and how they can destroy a bridge in a matter of seconds. And for those of you who stay with me until the very end of our journey today, I am going to share the Mars Peace Treaty. This is the one secret phrase, the single most important thing you can say, that will instantly disarm an angry Aries and make them your most loyal, fierce protector for life. If you know this, you can lead a lion. If you don't, you'll just get burned. Let's start at the very edge of the flame. Let's start with the phrase that sounds like a cage door closing. 15, you need to calm down. This is, without a doubt, the fastest way to turn a tiny spark into a massive, uncontrolled forest fire. When you tell an Aries they need to calm down, you are essentially telling them that their raw passion is a mistake. You are telling them that their energy is too much for you to handle, and therefore it is wrong. Psychologically, an Aries lives at a much higher frequency than the rest of the world. Their normal is everyone else's intense. Their nervous system is wired for action. When they are excited or upset, they are fully 100% invested. Their blood is moving fast. Their heart is pounding. Their brain is firing at full speed. By saying calm down, you are dismissing their current lived reality. You are acting like a patronizing parent to a seasoned warrior. The Aries hears this and thinks, oh, you want me to be small? You want me to be quiet and manageable? Watch this. Instead of calming down, they will instinctively double their intensity just to show you that you do not, and will never control their volume. If you want peace with the Ram, never try to put a lid on their fire while it is still burning hot. 14. Are you sure you can handle that? This is a direct front-on challenge to their competence and their courage. An Aries believes, in the deepest part of their soul, that they can handle anything. They are the sign of the pioneer. They are the ones who go first into the dark, unknown woods. If you ask them if they are sure they can handle a task, you aren't being helpful. You are questioning their basic identity. To the Ram, this sounds like a profound insult to their strength. It triggers their competitive ego in a way that is nearly impossible to ignore. Even if the task is clearly impossible, even if they are physically exhausted and mentally drained, once you ask this question, they will destroy themselves just to prove you wrong. They would rather break every bone in their body than admit to you that something was too much for them. They will take on the burden just to shut down your doubt. If you truly want to help, don't question their ability. Just offer to be their second in command and wait for their orders. 13, wait your turn. Patience is not a virtue for an Aries. It is a spiritual prison. They are ruled by Mars, the planet of direct action and forward motion. To them, the right time is always and only now. When you tell them they have to wait their turn, you are telling them that they are not the priority. You are forcing them to suppress the very energy that keeps them feeling alive. Psychologically, waiting feels like a slow death to an Aries. They feel the seconds ticking away like tiny needles in their skin. They see the goal, they see the path, and every cell in their body wants to move toward it. If you force them to sit in a long line or wait for a slow bureaucratic process, they will eventually snap. They will either find a way to jump the queue or they will just walk out of the building entirely. They don't believe in turns. They believe in the initiative. If you're standing in their way, you're part of the problem. 12. That's not how we do things here. Tradition is often a dirty word to the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is here to innovate, to break the old dusty molds, and to create something fresh and efficient. When you tell them that they have to follow a specific old-fashioned protocol just because it's the way it is, you are suffocating their creative spirit. They don't care about how it's always been done. They care about what works best at this exact moment. By forcing them into a rigid, stagnant structure, you are telling them that their ideas and their vision don't matter. This leads to immediate, deep-seated resentment. An Aries who is forced to follow a boring, repetitive, and illogical system will eventually become a saboteur. They would rather break the machine than be a quiet cog in it. They need the freedom to invent their own path, even if it's messy at first. 11. You're being very selfish. This is a phrase that hits them in an incredibly sensitive spot. It is a significant piece of misinformation to call an Aries selfish in the traditional malicious sense. Yes, they are self-focused, but that is because they are the infant of the zodiac. They are focused on their own survival, their own identity, and their own goals because that is their cosmic job. When you call them selfish, you are judging a natural survival instinct as if it were a moral failure. Aries actually possesses a huge, incredibly generous heart. They would give you the shirt off their back or their last dollar if they saw you were truly in need. But they will not give you their vision, their mission, or their prime time if it means stopping their forward momentum. If you call them selfish, they will withdraw their generosity completely. They will decide that if you think they are the villain, they might as well act the part. 10, let me do that for you. While this might sound like a kind, supportive offer to almost any other sign, to an Aries, it can feel like a stinging vote of no confidence. They take immense personal pride in their independence. They want to be the one who solves the puzzle. They want to be the hero of the story who fixes the leak or saves the day. If you jump in and take a task out of their hands, you are essentially telling them you're too slow or you're not doing it right, so I'll handle it. It wounds their pride deeply. Unless an Aries specifically looks you in the eye and asks for your help, stay back. Watch them struggle, let them sweat, and most importantly, let them win on their own terms. The struggle is where they find their internal value. If you steal the struggle, you steal the victory, and they will never forgive you for that theft. 9, you always overreact. This is a form of emotional gaslighting to an Aries. Their reactions are always honest. They do not have a filter or a buffer between their heart and their face. If they are angry, they are truly angry. If they are happy, they are absolutely ecstatic. To tell them they are overreacting is to tell them that their internal feelings are wrong or invalid. It makes them feel like they are being watched and judged by a cold, detached observer rather than a partner. This creates a deep sense of isolation and loneliness. They start to feel like they can't be their true selves around you. They will stop sharing their passions and their sparks with you because they are afraid you will just analyze them and find them lacking or dramatic. An Aries needs to be allowed to have big emotions without being told they are an inconvenience. 8, why can't you be more like? Comparison is the ultimate slow-acting poison for the ram. They are the sign of the individual. They are unique and they are acutely aware of it. When you compare them to a more stable sibling, a quieter co-worker, or a more patient ex-partner, you are attacking the very foundation of their soul. They don't want to be like anyone else. They want to be the absolute best version of themselves. If you try to shame them into a different mold, they will rebel with extreme prejudice and speed. They will purposely become even more of whatever trait you are currently criticizing just to show you that they won't be changed by your disapproval. They need to be celebrated for their specific raw energy, not measured against someone else's quiet yardstick. If you want a different sign, go find one. Don't try to change the RAM. 7, I told you so. Nothing hurts a high-achieving Aries more than a failed mission. They put so much of their personal ego into their actions that when they take a risk and it fails, they are already beating themselves up internally. They are their own harshest, most relentless critics. When you say, I told you so, you are kicking them while they are already on the ground. You are rubbing salt into the open wound of their pride. It makes them see you as an enemy or an obstacle rather than a supportive partner. They will never forget that you chose to be right in that moment instead of being supportive. If you want to keep their trust and their heart, never, ever gloat over their mistakes. Just help them get back on the horse, hand them their sword, and help them look for the next target. 6, you're too intense. As we've discussed, intensity is the oxygen that Aries breathes. To tell them they are two, anything is to tell them they are a mistake of nature. They don't know how to be medium or lukewarm. They don't have a dimmer switch on their personality. When you tell them they are too intense, they feel like you are asking them to dim their very light so that you can feel more comfortable. It feels like you are rejecting the very thing that makes them powerful and magnetic. It creates a psychological barrier where they feel they have to perform a quieter, more boring version of themselves just to be loved. Eventually, they will grow tired of the performance and they will go find someone who thinks their intensity is a rare gift, not a burden to be managed. 5, let's talk about this later. To an Aries, later simply doesn't exist. There is only now and there is never. If there is a conflict, a tension, or a problem, they want to handle it immediately. They want to clear the air, even if it means having a loud, messy argument right this second. They hate lingering, unspoken tension more than almost anything. When you shut down a conversation and say, let's talk later, you are leaving them in a state of high alert, vibrating anxiety. Their blood is boiling, their mind is racing, and you are refusing to let them vent that energy. It feels like emotional torture to them. They will pace the room. They will stew in their own anger, and by the time later actually comes, the original problem will be 10 times bigger in their mind. If you want a healthy, happy Aries, handle the fire while it's still hot. Don't let it smolder in the dark. 4, you're just like your father or mother. Unless their parents were legendary warriors, world-class athletes, or daring pioneers, this is usually a deep personal insult. Aries wants to be entirely self-made. They want to believe that their personality, their strength, and their path are their own unique creations. To be told they are just a copy of someone else, especially someone they might have had conflict with, is a huge blow to their identity. It makes them feel like they don't have free will. It makes them feel predictable and common, and Aries hates being predictable more than almost anything. They want to be the alpha and the omega of their own story. If you link their flaws to their DNA, you are telling them that they can't change. You are taking away their power to evolve and be something new. 3, it's not a big deal. To the person experiencing the fire, it is always a big deal. Aries is a sign of total investment. They don't do anything halfway. If they are upset about a broken toy, a missed deadline, or a perceived social slight, they are feeling it with 100% of their soul at that moment. When you say it's not a big deal, you are invalidating their current emotional reality. You are telling them that their heart is wrong. It makes them feel like you are on a completely different planet. It creates a massive communication gap that is hard to bridge. If you want to connect with them, acknowledge the size of the problem first. Even if it seems small or trivial to you, respect that it is a mountain to them in this moment. Once they feel heard, they can move on. If they don't feel heard, they will stay stuck in the fire. 2, you're not the boss of me. Even if it is 100% true in this situation, saying this to an Aries is like waving a giant red flag in front of a literal bull. They have a natural, hardwired biological urge to lead and to direct energy. It's in their bones. They don't even realize they are doing it most of the time. They just see a better way to do things, and they want to move everyone toward it. When you say this, you are turning a potentially cooperative situation into a direct, ugly power struggle. You are forcing them to dig in their heels and fight for dominance. You are challenging their authority, which is one of their most prized internal possessions. Instead of telling them they aren't the boss, try saying, "I've got this specific part covered. Let's divide the territory so we win faster." This respects their need for leadership and speed while protecting your own boundaries. Never fight them for the crown. Just build your own throne next to theirs. 1. You're too impatient. To an Aries, being told they are too impatient feels like being criticized for having a pulse. You have to understand that psychologically, the ram is the first spark. They aren't just moving fast for the sake of it. They are moving because they feel the urgent biological push of creation. When you throw the word impatient at them, you aren't just making an observation about their speed, you are shaming their natural rhythm. For the Aries soul, waiting is synonymous with wasting. They see the gap between where they are and where they want to be, and they want to close it immediately. They aren't being reckless, they are being efficient. When you call them impatient, you are basically saying that their time doesn't matter, or that your slower pace is somehow more correct or virtuous than theirs. This creates an instant wall of resentment. Instead of attacking their tempo, try acknowledging the goal. If you tell an Aries, "I see the vision and I want to get there too, but we need to sharpen the tools for just a moment so we don't break them," they will listen. They respect strategy, they despise hesitation. Never make them feel like their speed is a character flaw. It is the very engine that allows them to start the projects that everyone else is too afraid to begin. Let's explain the biology of the Aries nervous system. Now that we have looked at the phrases, let's talk about the why from a deeper perspective. Why is the ram so sensitive to these specific words? It comes down to their biological frequency. Aries is ruled by the head, literally. They are prone to headaches, they think at light speed, and they move with their head first. Their nervous system is high voltage. They have significantly more adrenaline moving through their veins than the average person. This isn't a choice, it's their design. This means that their reaction time is nearly instantaneous. When you say something that wounds their pride or limits their freedom, their brain registers it as a physical threat. The amygdala, the fight or flight center of the brain, lights up like an explosion. They aren't choosing to be angry or dramatic. They are having a physiological, chemical response to a perceived attack. Understanding this changes everything in your relationship. You wouldn't be mad at a guard dog for barking at a stranger. You shouldn't be mad at an Aries for roaring when they feel caged or insulted. They are simply acting out their cosmic design. To love an Aries is to learn how to manage high voltage energy without getting electrocuted. You have to be the grounding wire for their lightning. Now let's talk about the 2026 shift and the Aries spiritual awakening. As we move through the year 2026, the sign of Aries is going through a massive cosmic upgrade. The planet Neptune, the planet of dreams, spirit, and the collective soul, is moving through the very final degrees of Pisces and preparing to enter Aries. This means that for the first time in over a century, the warrior is being asked to find their spirit. The rams of the world are feeling a softness and an intuition they don't quite understand yet. They are feeling more emotions than they are used to. This makes them even more sensitive to the 15 phrases right now. They are currently under construction. Their psychological skin is thin. They are trying to figure out how to be strong and soulful at the same time. If you have an Aries in your life right now, be extra careful with your words. They are in a cocoon of fire. They are being born again into a more compassionate version of themselves. They need your alliance and your understanding right now more than they need your advice. Now I want to give an advice for the warrior soul. If you are an Aries watching this, I want to talk directly to your heart for a moment. I know that it's often hard to be you. I know that the rest of the world often feels slow, dull, and unfair. I know that you feel like you have to roar just to be heard or respected. I want you to practice the 5-second fuse. When someone says one of these 15 phrases to you when they tell you to calm down or that you're being selfish, I want you to count to 5 before you let the fire out. In those 5 seconds, remind yourself, my fire is my power and I choose exactly where to point it. You don't have to burn every house that has a cold draft. You are a king and a queen of the spirit. A true ruler doesn't have to prove their power to every person they meet. Your strength is built in. You don't need their permission to be big. Use your fire to light the way for others, and you'll find that nobody ever tells you to calm down again. The future of the Ram. We have traveled together through the 15 psychological minefields of the Aries heart today. We have seen the fire, the pride, the speed, and the secret vulnerability of the Ram. If you are an Aries and you felt this reading in your soul today, I want you to go to the comments right now and type, I am the fire. Let the other warriors know they aren't alone in their intensity. If you love an Aries, go to the comments and type, I am on your side. Let them know that you have the peace treaty ready and you're ready to build an empire with them. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our family here. We are going to be diving deep into the psychology of every sign all year long. And I want you to have the map for every spiritual journey in 2026. Remember, you aren't too much. You are exactly enough. The world doesn't need more quiet people. It needs more real people who aren't afraid to lead. Stay bright, stay bold, stay you.